Thomas didn't ask where Charlotte was going. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even touch her directly. He just pressed a white cloth to her face and lifted her unconscious body into the back seat of a waiting SUV. No screaming, no warning, just one terrible moment outside Windsor Castle when Princess Charlotte vanished. And the only man who saw it, a Coldstream guard who broke every protocol in the book to chase the truth before it was too late. But what the guard uncovered after that high-speed intercept, what Charlotte whispered through cracked breath, and what her grandmother said in defense of the abduction forced the palace to open a criminal investigation against its own blood, and the man they arrested was Queen Camilla's son. Before we show you exactly what Charlotte said and how the guards stopped her from being taken forever, drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from, tap like, hit subscribe, and make sure the bell icon is turned on. Because once the guard opened that back seat, there was no going back, only justice. The East Service Court of Windsor Castle slumbered in a kind of disciplined quiet, the kind that came after ceremonial activity, but before afternoon briefings. It was just past 2:30 p.m., and the courtyard stones still held the faint warmth of winter sun filtering through low cloud. Wind pressed softly against the arches. Somewhere behind the cloistered wall, Charlotte's supervised craft session was finishing early, finger paint on velvet card, or so Hale had overheard from the staff briefing that morning. Sergeant Dorian Hale, Coldstream Guard, stood beneath the southwest archway, formal but alert, one gloved hand resting along his rifle strap. He wasn't new to Windsor, but he wasn't fully comfortable here either. Transferred only 6 weeks ago from Balmoral perimeter duty, Hale had a reputation for restraint. A guard's job was to observe without reacting until reacting became law. At exactly 2:34 p.m., he noticed it. A black SUV idling at the far end of the Eastern Gate Lane, windows lightly tinted, engine low and rumbling. That in itself wasn't the issue. Deliveries were common and security checks sometimes delayed movement. But today's vehicle manifest had no listed SUV beyond 145. That's what made him squint. Then he saw her. Princess Charlotte, just 10 years old, rounded the far corner from the education wing, alone but clearly finishing a monitored class. Her minder had likely gone to sign the delivery log. It wasn't unusual for her to take the short route back across the service lane. She walked with a slight bounce, navy satchel on one shoulder, her coat half-buttoned against the breeze, innocent, ordinary, unaware. The SUV rear door clicked open silently. A man stepped halfway out, civilian coat, tailored scarf, gloved hands. "Charlotte," he called softly, just above the wind. "Thomas Parker, B.S." Hale stiffened, one boot stepping forward on instinct. There had been no escort cleared for Parker, B.S. today. His name was not on the register. Charlotte paused, visibly confused. She didn't approach, but her steps slowed, her head tilted. Recognition maybe, or uncertainty. Hale began walking, measured but direct. Then it happened all at once. Thomas moved fast, one fluid step from the vehicle, a white cloth already pulled from his coat pocket. He wrapped it across Charlotte's nose and mouth with shocking precision. She struggled, muffled, her hands pushing against his chest. Her satchel hit the stone with a slap. "Princess, step away from him." Hale roared, breaking into a sprint. Thomas didn't flinch. He shoved her into the back seat, slammed the door shut, and vaulted into the front. The SUV tires screamed across the cobblestone as the vehicle jerked into motion. Hale was already pulling his radio. "Code Black, minor extraction in progress. Lock down perimeter. Alarms didn't sound, but Windsor moved and Sergeant Hale was already running. The scream of tires still echoed as Sergeant Hale tore across the courtyard, boots hammering stone. The SUV cut left around the outer fountain, bypassing the automatic bollards that were only halfway raised. Hale's eyes locked on the back of the vehicle, license plate covered in thick gray tape, premeditated, not a moment of madness. This had been planned. He grabbed his radio again, voice sharp. Vehicle breach, east perimeter. Adult male suspect. Princess Charlotte confirmed inside. The voice that crackled back was one he knew. An internal security post near the North Tower. No royal cleared vehicle matches that SUV. Repeat, no clearance registered for black SUV on grounds. He didn't wait. A steward's Range Rover was parked just ahead. Keys still in the ignition, door ajar as the owner carried crates toward the staff kitchen. Taking the Rover, emergency override, Hale shouted as he vaulted into the seat. The ignition turned without hesitation. Two nearby guards, one of them, Private Langley, looked up from their position near the gate. On me, Hale snapped. No time for protocol, no time to wait for orders. The guard's duty was not ceremony, it was protection. Langley dove into the back seat. Corporal Sandhurst took the passenger side. Hale fled it. The SUV had a half-minute lead, but Hale knew the roads. The eastern service lane curved through the old stable block, then down toward the lightly patrolled south perimeter. Not many exits, but enough to vanish if you knew the map. The Range Rover hurtled forward, suspension bouncing on the uneven stone. Hale kept one hand steady on the wheel, the other tapping the push-to-talk mic clipped to his collar. Vehicle is black SUV, tinted windows, unknown registration. Suspect is Thomas Parker Bowles, Princess unconscious or semi-conscious. Likely chemical agent used. Repeat, chemical agent likely deployed. Charlotte Hale's jaw locked as he swerved onto the gravel fork leading toward the lower stables. He didn't know her personally, not beyond the occasional nod or glance as she passed, but she was still a child, a royal child, and whatever Parker BS had planned, it wasn't sanctioned. It wasn't protective, and it sure as hell wasn't innocent. Inside the fleeing SUV, Charlotte stirred. Her eyes fluttered, her hands poured weakly at the fabric seat, the world spun, her throat tasted like cotton and iron. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard Thomas muttering to himself. She wasn't supposed to talk. I warned her. I told her I'd fix this. The vehicle swerved slightly, tires scraping gravel. Back in pursuit, Hale's radio snapped again. Southgate blocking in progress, bollards raising, eat a 30 seconds, too long. Hale's mind worked ahead of the road. He needed a faster intercept. He couldn't let that SUV reach the outer wood. The Range Rover tore around the bend as Hale spotted the black SUV ahead. Already deviating off the main drive, tires chewing into the shoulder of a restricted access path. He recognized it immediately. The old maintenance route toward the disused forestry entrance, narrow, uneven, no cameras past the bend. He's ditching to the forest lane, Hale muttered. He's desperate. The SUV clipped to verge, swerved, then fishtailed slightly before regaining traction. Ahead, the perimeter bollards were only half raised, seconds from full block, but the suspect didn't care. He spun the wheel and cut hard left, bounding over a gravel mound and crashing through a section of chain barrier. The vehicle skidded sideways, clipped the rear of a parked maintenance van, and spun into a shallow ditch. Steam burst from the grill, one tire shredded. Hale braked, rifle already in hand, not raised, but slung forward, thumb on the strap. Langley and Sandhurst exited behind him, forming a staggered triangle as they approached the smoking vehicle. The SUV driver's door burst open. Thomas Parker Bias stumbled out wild-eyed and flushed, his right glove soaked through from clutching something wet, likely the chemical rag. He didn't look hurt, just unhinged. He yanked the rear door open and leaned in. "Put her down, move away from the child," Hale bellowed, advancing. Thomas ignored the command. He dragged Charlotte out by her wrist. She sagged, groggy and blinking, unable to stand, barely able to speak. "She's coming with me," Thomas shouted. "This is family business." Hale reached him in 3 long strides. He gripped Charlotte's forearm gently and used his shoulder to shove Thomas back. Not a strike, but a precise trained redirect. Thomas stumbled, lost balance, and hit the side of the SUV. Charlotte collapsed into Hale's arms. He caught her with both hands, cradling her weight against his chest, tucking her head beneath his chin. She was dazed, confused, but conscious. Her breathing was shallow. Thomas lunged again, eyes blazing. Langley intercepted with a body check, knocking him back against the hood. Down, Langley snapped. Sandhurst moved to restrain him, twisting Thomas's arm behind his back as he struggled. Hale crouched with Charlotte behind the nearest wheel arch, murmuring low reassurances. "You're all right. You're safe now. Stay with me, Mom. Help's coming." Charlotte stirred, her cheek pressed to his chest. She whispered, "He said I had to come. He said Mommy wouldn't understand." Hale froze. The words chilled him deeper than the wind. Not because of what they meant, but because of what they suggested. He cupped her head, eyes scanning for the medic team. This wasn't just a snatch and run. This was part of something worse. The medic team arrived in a blur of navy jackets and clipped orders, sprinting down the sloped service lane toward the crashed SUV. Hale stayed kneeling with Charlotte in the shelter of the vehicle's rear wheel, shielding her from the wind and from the sight of Thomas thrashing against the guards, restraining him. A medic, Parental, dropped beside Hale and immediately checked Charlotte's pupils with a pen light. Responses delayed, Parental muttered. "Agent inhalation likely." Charlotte winced at the brightness, her fingers curling tighter into Hale's tunic. He eased an arm around her shoulders, not pulling, just steadying her. "You're safe now, ma'am," Hale murmured, lowering his voice to a tone used only in emergencies. "Stay with me. You're doing well." Parental fitted an oxygen mask gently over her nose. Charlotte resisted weakly until Hale whispered, "It'll help you breathe." Only then did she relax into it. Parental nodded to Hale. "She's conscious, but keep her halfway upright." What did he dose her with? Cloth with solvent smell, Hale said. He pressed it over her face. Patel's expression tightened. "Copy wrist bruising too. Photograph that." Hale took the evidence phone from Patel's kit and raised Charlotte's small wrist into better light. Purple blotches were already forming in the shape of fingers. He photographed them, jaw clenched. Behind him, internal security pushed Thomas up against the SUV dented hood, reading him his detainment conditions. Thomas spat back incoherently. "She's exaggerating." She panicked. "It's a misunderstanding." Hale stood, still bracing Charlotte as she leaned into him. He stared across the roof at Thomas, voice low, steady, and lethal. "She was unconscious. That's not misunderstanding. That's abduction." Thomas's face twisted. "I didn't hurt her. I was helping her." Hale ignored him, focusing back on the child in his arms. Charlotte tugged weakly at Hale's sleeve, and he leaned down so she wouldn't have to lift her head. Her voice was soft. He said, "I get people in trouble, and he'll fix it so nobody listens anymore." Hale stilled. "Not externally. Externally, He remained the motionless pillar the uniform demanded. But internally, something cold hit the center of his chest. These weren't the words of a panicked child. They were the words of a child repeating a threat. Patel glanced between them, understanding dawning. "We need safeguarding on this immediately." Haley pressed the radio. "This is Sergeant Hale. Safeguarding alert triggered. Suspect used chemical agent on a minor. Hostile verbal manipulation confirmed. Child reports prior coercive language. Prepare escalation." The radio crackled. Acknowledgement. Charlotte's fingers curled into the fabric of Hale's tunic again. "Mommy's going to be mad," she whispered. Hale swallowed hard, his voice rasping slightly. "Not with you, Mom." "Never with you." He stayed with her until the first royal footsteps arrived. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed before the figure appeared, heels striking stone in sharp, uneven rhythm. Catherine rounded the corner with 2 guards at her flanks, but she didn't look regal or composed, or even remotely concerned with protocol. She looked like a mother who had been told her child was taken. Her breath caught the moment she saw Charlotte seated against the SUV wheel, wrapped in an oxygen line, and Hale's steady hold. She rushed forward, dropping to her knees so abruptly that one guard instinctively reached to steady her shoulder. Charlotte lifted her head at the familiar voice. "Mommy." Catherine cup-offed her daughter's cheeks, brushing her hair back with trembling fingers. "Sweetheart, look at me. Are you hurt? Can you breathe? Does anything feel wrong?" Charlotte blinked, dazed. "My head feels funny." Patel spoke gently. "Chemical agent inhalation. Mom, she's stabilizing." Catherine's face went white, not with panic, but with the kind of cold fear that hardens into fury. She turned to Hale. "Sergeant, did she say anything before you reached her?" Hale answered with restraint of a soldier who knows every word may matter. "Only that she didn't want to go with him, Mom, and that he told her her mother wouldn't understand." Catherine inhaled sharply like a wound had opened beneath her ribs. She looked past Hale to Thomas, who was pinned against the SUV by 2 internal security officers. Wrists secured, he wouldn't meet her eyes. He stared at the ground like a child caught misbehaving, except this was no childish act. Catherine's voice fell to a whisper as she faced Charlotte again. "Did you want to go with him?" Charlotte shook her head vigorously, tears welling beneath the oxygen mask. "No, I didn't want to. He said, Granny said it's okay if men take me somewhere private." Hale saw Catherine freeze, every muscle locked, every trace of composure vanished. Her eyes closed just for a fraction of a second, as if absorbing impact. When she opened them again, there was no fear left, only clean, precise maternal rage. She stood, not slowly, but with the decisive movement of someone who has just made a decision that cannot be undone. She faced the officers, restraining Thomas. "Secure him," she said, voice quiet, deadly. "Full criminal hold, no access, no statements, no proximity to my daughter. He does not speak to her again." Thomas sputtered. "Catherine, listen. This is being twisted." Catherine didn't even acknowledge him. She crouched to Charlotte's level once more, smoothing the girl's hair as she whispered, "You're safe. You did nothing wrong." Charlotte clung to her mother's sleeve, still trembling, still half dreaming. Hale watched the moment with something like awe. This wasn't protocol being enacted. This was Mother choosing to burn the world down before she let her daughter be harmed again. And for the first time in the unfolding nightmare, Charlotte's small voice found enough strength to say, "Mommy, don't let him take me again." Catherine's jaw set. "No one," she said, "will ever take you again." The sound of polished soles on stone struck like thunder beneath the archer. Queen Camilla entered with her private attendants in tow, flanked by aides and 1 security liaison. Her chin was high, shoulders drawn tight with irritation, not fear. From a distance it might have seemed like she was walking into a misplaced lunch appointment, but Hale saw the truth in the small details: the clenched jaw, the gloved fingers adjusting a bracelet that didn't need adjusting. She wasn't here to understand what happened. She was here to control the narrative. "Where is my son?" Camilla demanded, her voice cutting the air as she swept into the scene. Her eyes scanned past the officers until they landed on the restrained figure of Thomas, still pressed against the SUV hood. Why is he being handled like a common criminal? Hale said nothing. He didn't have to. Charlotte, still in Catherine's arms, tensed visibly at the sound of Camilla's voice. Camilla turned, smiling now. "Sugar," laced, rehearsed. "Darling, there you are. What on earth is all this fuss?" Charlotte curled tighter into her mother. Camilla stepped forward, reaching gently, performatively. "Come here, sweetheart. Let's not exaggerate anything. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding." Charlotte flinched. The moment shattered the air like glass. Catherine's stance shifted, one hand moving instinctively to shield her daughter's head, the other extending in a silent block. "She will not go near you," Catherine said, her voice so low it made the aides behind Camilla freeze mid-step. Camilla blinked. "Don't be absurd. She's my granddaughter. She's a child who was drugged and abducted." Catherine replied, "And you enabled the man who did it." Camilla's smile dropped, her mask cracked. "You're confused." She snapped. He was taking her for a private talk. "We've discussed this." "It's part of her education." That was when Hale stepped forward, not aggressively, not loudly, just enough to let his presence be known. "Mom," he said evenly, "this incident is under criminal safeguarding review. You are not permitted to make contact with the minor during investigation procedures." Camilla's face hardened. "You're a palace soldier. Don't play comfortable with me." Charlotte's voice broke the standstill. "She told me not to tell anyone," she said softly. "She said it makes men angry when girls repeat things." The corridor went dead quiet. Camilla's eyes widened just for a moment, only a moment. Then she recovered. "She's confused. She's emotional. This is all being twisted." Catherine didn't even turn toward her. She looked to Hale instead. He pressed his radio calmly. "Safeguarding escalation. Adult complicity confirmed. Senior Royal requested on site immediately." Camilla tried again, quieter this time. "This is family. You don't air family matters like this." Catherine's reply was a whisper, wrapped in steel. "You don't bury them either." The air shifted before he was even visible. Prince William approached like a storm in containment, coiled, silent, and direct. His strides were sharp, cutting straight through the tension gathering near the intercept site. He wore no formal coat, only the charcoal gray wool of his private office attire, sleeves shoved past the wrist, gloved, forgotten in one hand, his eyes locked immediately on Charlotte. He moved past everyone, past Camilla, past the detained officers, past Hale, straight to his daughter. He crouched low beside Catherine and Charlotte, his breath visible in the cold. "Sweetheart," he said gently, brushing her hair back from her forehead. "Are you all right? Does anything hurt?" Charlotte blinked slowly, groggy. She didn't cry, but her voice cracked when she whispered, "He told me not to say anything, that if I did, you wouldn't believe me." William's face broke just for a second, his jaw flexed so hard it pulsed beneath his cheek. Then he reached forward and held her small hand in both of his. "I believe you," he said quietly, "no matter what anyone else says." Then he stood, and everything in the space changed. He faced Sergeant Hale first. "Report." Hale's voice remained calm, clipped, precise. Princess was extracted via unscheduled vehicle. Suspect is Thomas Parker B.S. I initiated pursuit and retrieval. Subject used chemical restraint on the child. Recovered her at scene. Victim presented signs of disorientation. Verbal disclosure of coercive intent. Adult complicity confirmed on site. William nodded once, just once. Then he turned to Camilla. She raised her hand slightly, already on the defensive. William, this is ridiculous. She misunderstood. He didn't hurt her. You're letting theatrics cloud. Your son drugged and abducted my daughter. William said, voice low and lethal. This is not a misunderstanding. This is a crime. Camilla's face froze, but he wasn't done. And you. He continued, stepping forward, you normalized it. You sanctioned it. You silenced her before I even knew what to ask. Camilla tried again, weaker. Children exaggerate. They mimic things. You know how they are. William didn't blink. No, I know how adults are. I know what they do when they're afraid the truth will be heard. He turned to internal security. Queen Camilla is to be escorted to private isolation. No contact with the child, no staff interference, no press statements. She is not to be seen until this investigation is complete. Camilla recoiled. You have no right. I have duty. He said, ice cutting through every syllable, and it overrides every excuse you've ever made. 2 officers stepped forward. Camilla's aides hesitated, then backed away. William looked down at Charlotte. Once more. She was still in Catherine's arms, barely understanding, but watching everything. This wasn't justice. This was protection made visible. The investigation team arrived in coordinated pairs. No sirens, no spectacle, just quiet gloves, marked bags, and a forensic scanner humming faintly near the SUV's shattered grille. Sergeant Hale remained posted beside Charlotte as internal security began cataloging the vehicle. What they found only deepened the horror. From beneath the driver's seat, a length of nylon rope coiled, a wool blanket folded with tape inside, an unregistered burner phone with no SIM. Inside the glove box, a small folded note, handwritten, drive to West Lodge, instructions follow. William read it himself, jaw tightening as he folded the slip in gloved fingers. He said nothing, but the air around him changed. A few yards away, Catherine crouched beside Charlotte, gently wiping her forehead with a handkerchief. The girl was steadier now, enough for her voice to come through without shaking. He told me, Charlotte whispered, that Granny lets him talk to me alone. She said, girls my age don't know what's good for them. Catherine didn't flinch, not this time. She nodded slowly, letting the words land, as if anchoring them with her own strength. Charlotte kept going. He said, if I tell Daddy, he'll make sure Daddy never believes me. That he'll talk to Granny and they'll make it go away. Catherine's eyes shimmered, but she didn't look away. She just wrapped her daughter in both arms and whispered, he won't speak to you again. Ever, nearby, Hale recorded the statement, every word marked and archived in the official safeguarding report. Thomas, seated on the ground with cuffs behind his back, overheard every word. He surged forward, eyes wide with panic. She's lying. You can't actually think I'd hurt her. Hale stepped into his path and boot angled slightly forward. We pulled you off of her unconscious body, he said. Thomas flinched at the precision of it, the simple finality. I didn't touch her, he spat. I didn't. This isn't what it looks like. William approached, stopping only 2 feet from him. You will answer for everything, he said coldly. Every ride, every closed door, every whispered phrase you thought she wouldn't remember. Thomas looked to Catherine, then to Camilla, now distant and boxed in by security. No one moved to save him. You tried to make her silence feel like loyalty, William added, voice hardening. But she spoke, and that's the last time you'll ever speak to her again. Thomas dropped his head. No more words came because there was nothing left to defend. The corridor beyond the crash site had grown deathly still. The air no longer buzzed with overlapping voices or boots scrambling for position. Orders had been given. Authority had landed. What remained now was execution. Prince William pulled a leather-bound folio from his aide's hands, the kind reserved for on-site emergency declarations. He signed 3 lines in quick succession. The page beneath bore a simple title, immediate criminal detainment, royal jurisdiction. Escort him to holding, William said. Lead officer nodded. 2 guards flanked Thomas, lifting him smoothly from the ground. No violence, no shouting, just hands on both arms and a march that no title could slow. Camilla shouted from far end of the lane, "He's your family. You can't do this," but no one turned to her, not the officers, not William, not even Charlotte. As Thomas was guided toward the exit arch, Charlotte clung tighter to Catherine, her small face pressed into the wool of her mother's coat. She didn't ask what was happening. She didn't cry. She just watched the man who told her to be quiet finally say nothing at all. Sergeant Hale stood a few steps behind, posture still formal, still tense. He hadn't moved much since the vehicle was disabled, but now, as the criminal walked away, he relaxed by half a breath. William turned to him. "You prevented the unthinkable," he said, voice quieter now. "You acted when you had seconds." "Thank you, Sergeant." Hale didn't bow, he simply nodded, one clean motion, sharp and heavy. Charlotte looked up at her father. "He said he had to take me before I told too many people." William crouched to her level, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "You told just enough," he said gently. "That's what saved you." He scooped her into his arms then, not for the cameras, not for ceremony, just a father carrying his daughter away from a nightmare he hadn't seen coming. Charlotte wrapped her arms around his neck, resting her head there like she always had before bed. Before stories, Catherine stepped alongside them, silent but resolute. As they passed Hale, Charlotte looked up. "Thank you," she whispered. "You didn't let him take me." Hale nodded again, unable to speak. They disappeared into the north wing. Behind them, Camilla shouted again, but it didn't matter because in that moment, her voice carried no weight. Thomas was gone, Charlotte was safe, and the corridor was no longer a battlefield, just a memory of the one thing a royal guard is trained to protect at any cost: the child who spoke the truth. Rain had begun to fall by the time the SUV was fully cordoned off, not heavy, just a cold, whispering drizzle that licked the stone and softened the floodlights shining down from the old ramparts above. The SUV sat angled in the shallow ditch, like a beast gutted mid-run, its back door still ajar, the folded blanket bagged and tagged on the ground beside it. Sergeant Dorian Hale hadn't moved far from where he'd first pulled Charlotte from its interior. He stood just beyond the yellow perimeter, motionless beneath the slow patter of rain on his bare skin hat and shoulders. His red tunic, damp now, clung faintly to the lines of his frame. He said nothing, watched everything. From the far side, a steward approached, young, uncertain, cradling a clipboard, but saying nothing at first. After a beat, he cleared his throat. "Sergeant," he said quietly, I think you saved her life." Hale didn't look away from the vehicle, didn't answer either. He didn't need to. The silence itself said everything. Across the gravel court, the rear wing lights of the private residence flickered to life. Somewhere inside, Charlotte was likely changing out of her damp socks, maybe being tucked beneath a blanket, maybe being told it wasn't her fault, that she wasn't wrong to speak, that someone finally listened. And out here, a royal guard remained on duty, not out of obligation, not out of protocol, because some threats don't arrive as gunfire, they arrive as quiet permission, and when they do, you don't wait to be told what to do. You move, you break protocol, you act. Hale adjusted his rifle strap. The wind shifted slightly. The SUV door creaked once in the breeze, then stilled. Another officer called from the northern wall, asking if Hale needed relief. He shook his head once. Not yet, not tonight. His eyes stayed locked on the archway where Charlotte had disappeared. Not guarding the past, not guarding the man already in custody, guarding the fact that next time he would see it sooner. Because once a guard knows the cost of silence, he listens for it everywhere and never lets it win again. What would you have done in Sergeant Hale's place? Should a royal guard break protocol to protect a child? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Tap like, hit subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a royal guard story. And share this video with someone who needs to. Remember what real protection looks like. Your next video should be appearing on screen right about now. Pick one, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time with a brand new